Welcome back. You're watching One on One. We're speaking with Sir Ben Kingsley. Your stage debut was in 1966, A Smashing Day, where you were narrating, and then you actually played the guitar and sang as well.
Yes.
Now, is it true that John Lennon and Ringo Starr came up to you backstage afterwards and says, you know, you should go into music, and if you don't, you'll regret it for the rest of your life?
They were quite generous in their response to what I was trying to strum out. I used to write little pop songs and blues songs and sing them on stage. And I did meet their recording manager, Dick James, and their own manager, Brian Epstein, was part of the show as well. And Dick James did offer me a recording contract, which terrified me. And I managed to wriggle out of it by having a contract to appear at Chichester Festival Theatre that year. So,
your first film debut, or your first film, was in 1972. You're only 29 years old. You did Fear is the Key, but you were still doing stage at that time.
Oh, very much.
How do you find the two challenge you in different ways?
I did my first television film for the late great David Jones, and that was a Thomas Hardy film. And as soon as David's a wonderful film director, he went on to direct The Trail with me, and from the moment he said action, even though this was back in '73 and I was, as you say, completely immersed in my stage career, I knew that this was something that I had to pursue. That extraordinary rapport between yourself and a machine, a camera, a lens, an eye, and through that eye, the possibility of reaching hundreds, thousands, millions of people. That doesn't cross the actor's mind. The fact is that you can offer things to the lens that you can't offer to a theatre audience because they can't see it. So I was moving between the two. I worked with Ken Loach, I worked with Mike Leigh, I worked with David Jones, all in the early '70s. I then did a feature film called Fear is the Key, and became really addicted to the camera. And then there was Peter Brook's Midsummer Night's Dream. There was Buzz Goodbody's Hamlet, in which I played Hamlet, and you know, you just can't say no. You have to go back to the theatre. You have to explore Hamlet and Peter Brook's interpretation of Shakespeare's Midsummer Night's Dream. I had to return. I think I was just guided, thank goodness, but I knew that there was something I had to complete on stage. But I also knew that I would have to step off and do something else, and that came when Lord Attenborough offered me Gandhi.
The function of a civil resistor is to provoke response, and we will continue to provoke until they respond or they change the law. They are not in control. We are.
Now, was that Oscar-winning role as Mahatma Gandhi, was that the defining point in your life, you feel?
I think that I as Ingmar Bergman used to say, you can measure your career with white stones. Certainly, my work with Peter Brook in 1970, Midsummer Night's Dream. Certainly, my work with dear Buzz Goodbody, Hamlet in '75. And then, because of those two experiences, I was, I think, able to interest Richard as an actor. I think you needed Shakespearean stamina, the stamina to follow unique destiny for 3 hours on stage in front of an audience, to follow the extraordinary destiny in visceral terms, flesh and blood, intelligence, spirituality, all the dimensions that Shakespeare offers to the actor. I could not have approached Mahatma Gandhi had I not stretched every fibre of my being into Hamlet, who's probably the most intelligent person in dramatic literature, and certainly Gandhi, I guess, is the most intelligent person historically ever to have lived. That extraordinary pragmatic intelligence that must have shifted its molecules in microseconds to adapt to the colonial powers and his own people around him as well. Amazing dexterity of intelligence, and I have to inhabit this, you know, as just an ordinary actor. And I think the gymnasium, the trampoline, the trapeze, the circus in which I learnt my tricks was Shakespeare. And Attenborough knew that he had to have that kind of stamina, dexterity, and grasp of character as a baseline before you could even embark on exploring Mahatma Gandhi.
Do you handle criticism well when you see the critics on the talk about your movies and things?
Anybody will tell you, my wife will be the first to tell you, bless her, I haven't read a review since 1984. I haven't the faintest idea what is said about me in print. Not a clue.
Well, you were knighted in 2001 and became Sir Ben. And of course, there was controversy over that, the title and so on. How, in terms of these honorifics, how do you relate to them?
I received my first knighthood from Indira Gandhi, and I became a Padma Shri in the 80s. And then, which was for me an embrace. You know, I was talking about ending a performance and there isn't a closure of applause. But when Indira Gandhi awarded me the Padma Shri, I felt that it was an embrace from her dad, Pandit Nehru, and from all those who were so close to Gandhiji, and from a nation that I deeply love and I'm profoundly linked to, and it hits me here. And my knighthood from Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth hit me here. It doesn't hit me anywhere else. I hope I accept it with simply and do everything I can to justify the role, the honour, the embrace, the hug. You see, the British are very reluctant to praise. Mm-hmm. I can walk into a restaurant in LA and people get up from their table, shake my hand, ask me to sign their napkin, name 5 movies that they've seen, and go back to their table and wave when I leave the restaurant. In England, may I use this?
Please.
Okay, this is the menu in a British restaurant. Oh, there's Ben Kingsley.
Who?
Ben Kingsley. I think I'll have the steak. That's about it.
Yeah, you're right.
That's about as far as it goes.
It's part of the British condition.
But the beautiful thing, and this is where, the British should appreciate this glorious balance and why the honours list is vital to our society, is that while there is that terrible reluctance to praise, to enthuse, and to downplay, then at the other end of the scale, from this marvelous family, there is this voice, we have seen you, we have heard you, and we like what you're doing very much. There's your balance, there's that symmetry. And life does have its symmetry. And if you look at the honours list compared to the reticence that the British seem to have in enthusiasm and praise, there's the balance. So for me, it's beautifully balanced and most gratefully accepted.
I know you try to guard your privacy carefully, but the price you have to pay for being famous to some degree is the fact that stuff is out there in public. How do you handle that?
Oh, I think I've been very candid with you. I handle it by not reading anything, by not flipping through certain magazines that are there to look at, or I just don't go into that area. There is a colleague of mine who reads everything, and he's on the verge of madness. Because you read something good, you have to then find something, ring your publicist to find something else that's good, and it'll be bad. You read something bad, you want to read something good. It's all-consuming, and it's also so ephemeral. It disappears. The wounds will stay with you far longer than it will stay in the memory of the reader, whether good or bad, or the halo of praise. So I cope with it by living in the English countryside. I'm there maybe 2 months of the year. I lead a global life. I'm always on the move, and I'm not really addicted or fascinated by what's written or said. I am really engaged by my role as an actor and now my new role as a producer, bringing beautiful films to people and telling wonderful stories. The rest really shouldn't interest me, is not part of my life. And basically that's how I deal with it. I deal with it by looking at something more beautiful.
Great talking with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.